Hello, hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Sideline Speaks with myself, Brittany Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Media Network. What's going on, K Walk and Jay?
All's well. Looking forward to another great one.
Yeah, everything's good. Got a lot of good stuff to talk about, so I'm excited. This will be a fun show tonight.
Yes, yes, we're going to get right into it because we do have a special guest to unfortunately help us talk about K Walk's Miami Heat going down to the Denver Nuggets. But it's okay. It was a great series. But let's welcome in our guest, Brandon Cristal. He's a sports commentator, covers the Denver Broncos as well as the NFL for iHeartRadio and KOA News Radio in Denver. He is also a Dallas native. That's interesting. And a Kansas Jayhawk alone. I hope that does not mean you are a Cowboys fan, Brandon.
I see the confetti still flying.
Still rubbing it in.
With the confetti from the arena last night, Ball Arena, where the Nuggets took out Kevin's Miami Heat. I know he's a lifelong Heat fan, of course, even though they came into the league when he was probably already in college. Nonetheless,
I was still in high school when they came in the league, but I was a
okay. You're still in high school. I get it.
Yeah.
It's like when you get these lifelong Vegas Golden Knights fans, or whatever, or Seattle Kraken. Like my friend who works on my car here, she's from Seattle, and so she's always asking me about Russell Wilson and Russell Wilson autographs, and loves the Mariners, loves the Seahawks. And she was like texting me during the playoffs about the Kraken. And I said, well, you've lived in Denver for 20 years, but I forgot you're a lifelong Seattle Kraken. So, sorry about Miami Heat.
It's all right. It's all right.
So,
it's all right. Congratulations,
Brandon,
guys.
Okay, go ahead, Well, first and foremost, Brandon, thank you for being on the show with us today, just to give your thoughts. But of course, we have to because you are in Denver, right? You covered Denver. Last night, as we all know, the Denver Nuggets beat K-Walk's Miami Heat 4-1 to become the NBA champions. And I'm going to repeat it again. But we just want to know your thoughts on this series. And did you think that he had any real chance to beat Denver?
Unfortunately, I didn't, unless they were going to shoot 50% like they did from game two, and Denver was going to give that same defensive effort that they gave in game two. The Nuggets are the best team in basketball. They proved that throughout the playoffs. They proved it in the regular season. I understand their record was a little less than obviously what the Celtics ended up doing, and certainly the Bucks is the 1 and 2 seeds in the East. Had the Celtics beaten Miami, then Denver would have had to go on the road for games 1, 2, 5, and 7. But they, I guess you could argue which conference is stronger, but the West we know is certainly tough, top to bottom, especially with the younger teams coming on like Sacramento or, even with Dallas tanking. It's not an easy out when they've got Luka. And so the West is stacked, and the Nuggets really since late December, early January were the best team in the West. Joker was playing like the best player in basketball. He had no problem with Joel Embiid winning the MVP. Joel played a great game when they played in Philly in January. Joel, for the 5th straight year, ducked him in Denver. And so you only had that one game to go on, and then Joker shut it down, or they shut him down. He had a calf thing, he had a wrist thing. They wanted him 100% for the playoffs. So he missed like 5 of the last 7 games, and they lost a few in there. That being said, when the playoffs started, he was ready to roll, and so was his team. They were remarkably healthy. They finally put all the pieces together with Jamal Murray fully back from injury, and Michael Porter Jr.'s back, not plaguing him like it has, and then Aaron Gordon being able to step into a more comfortable role. With the vets they added in KCP and Bruce Brown, they were a team that was poised to make a deep run, and they did. And to get through a tough Minnesota team with some young stars, we'll see how good they end up being over the next coming years. But a defensive player of the year, 3 times over in Rudy Gobert. And they may have given Joker the toughest test in terms of his production, but then you go against Phoenix and KD still trying to figure it out, coming off injury, and Book, who got kind of banged up during the series. And then you play against LeBron and AD. They'd never beaten the Lakers in the playoffs. The Nuggets were 0-7 and 0-3 in Western Conference Finals dating back to the mid-'80s with Alex English and Dan Issel and company. So they were able to exercise those demons. And I just didn't think that the Heat, especially without Tyler Hero, even as good as Jimmy Butler had played when he was healthy, and we knew he clearly wasn't 100%, I think, in that final series and maybe even late against Boston, that they were going to have no margin for error. And even as good as the shooters were with the Heat, and you talk about Gabe Vincent and him coming on, and Caleb Martin and Max Strus, who kind of disappeared, obviously, of late. I just didn't think that the Heat were going to win. So I picked the Nuggets in 5, and they won in 5.
Yeah, and Brandon, obviously they closed it out last night. you were there watching on TV. It looked exciting. The atmosphere looked great. The crowd. This is obviously their first championship. Can you take us behind the curtain a little bit? What was it like being in the arena? What does this mean for the city with their first NBA championship?
Yeah, I've been asked this question a lot because the Nuggets had such a big build up to the finals too, with the 9 days off, and then obviously the series going here almost a couple weeks, even though it was just 5 games, right? We know the NBA likes to milk it a little bit when they get to this time of the year, and get it with the extra day of travel to get. I understand all of that, but we know this is a Broncos town. I've talked to you guys about the Broncos plenty, and we'll always kind of work the Broncos into a conversation because they're top of mind. It's probably a more fascinating conversation to go city to city and say, what's the number one team in a given town, right? In Philly, is it the Eagles? The Phillies have been there the longest. Is it, it's a good Flyers town when they've been good, right? In New York, is it the Yankees first? Is it the Giants? Then right in Chicago, it's the Bears. Then is it the Cubs before the Bulls? In LA, it's the Lakers. In Dallas, it's the Cowboys. And in Denver, it's always the Broncos first. But I've been here 17 years, so closing in on 2 decades, and seen some good basketball with Carmelo Anthony and Kenyon Martin and those guys. When you added Allen Iverson to the mix and you swapped him for Chauncey, and they went to a Western Conference Finals in 2009, and then to see the rebirth under Michael Malone with Joker and Jamal Murray. And so I've seen some good basketball. There's been, I mentioned that team in the 80s, some good teams in the 70s with David Thompson, right, going to the ABA Finals. They've been really good. Denver is a Broncos town first, but a Nuggets town second. And even though the Avalanche came in and won a Stanley Cup in their first year and then won another one 5 years later, and with Joe Sakic and those guys were really good for a long time, and now Joe Sakic as the boss, they have one of the most talented young teams in hockey, won it a year ago. We know hockey is a bit of a niche sport. The ratings will tell you that. Most people don't grow up playing hockey, even street hockey. Right. But everyone has played basketball at some point. At least if you've grown up in America, you're familiar with it. And to what level you played, that's a different conversation. But you kind of have an idea. Oh, that guy looks really good. Oh, if my team traded for this guy, all of a sudden we're in a championship kind of conversation. And so the Nuggets are a clear number 2. The Rockies, when they've been good, and that's been very few far between. Baseball's America's pastime. We get it. But they're so bad consistently that it's hard to, other than going to the ballpark and enjoying the game, to really get on board that, this might be their year and all of that. So this is a Nuggets town after it's a Broncos town, for sure. But it is clearly a Nuggets town, and I've known that since I got here in December of 2006. And so looking at it with their chance to do something they've never done, which includes playing in the finals, let alone winning it, I knew the town would explode, and it did. We had an unfortunate incident with a shooting downtown in the celebration, and some of the details coming out on that are a little murky. Was it some sort of drug deal gone bad, gang related? The one thing in this is, look, I don't want to take this too far off, but we've seen so many tragedies and 3 really big ones here in Colorado, unfortunately, from the Columbine shooting, the theater shooting where my friend Jesse, was an intern for us, was one of the victims, to the shooting in Boulder where the crazy guy goes into the Safeway supermarket. This wasn't that, or what we saw in Chicago at the parade on the July 4th, right? This wasn't that, thankfully. I mean, I say thankfully, all of it's bad. But this is a fight or something gone wrong in a very crowded situation and very scary. But beyond that, and it's hard to look past that, and we haven't heard of any loss of life yet, 3 people in critical condition. The rest of it, right, I'm not trying to separate it. I'm simply saying that happened, and that was terrible. But the rest of the city was ready to catch fire, in a celebratory fashion, right? I don't want to get literal with that, because they've been waiting 50 years, some people, 40 years, 30 years, however long you've been a Nuggets fan, for this moment, and to finally bring it home. I know it's a really long answer, but it was really exciting to be in the arena and then to be downtown for the couple of hours that I was just kind of around, seeing a couple friends. In fact, Bill Self, my favorite coach in college basketball, he was in town to see Coach Brown, and I was able to catch up with Coach a little bit at halftime and then after the game for a little bit. So it was a fun night, save for obviously a very unfortunate incident.
Yeah, and you say they had to wait a long time, obviously, for the first one, but there's got to be a lot of excitement when you look at the roster. I mean, the core is young. They're all signed for the next couple of years. Does this feel like a team that could maybe go on a bit of a run and maybe string a couple championships together?
I think it has to, right? The Nuggets are the preseason favorites, which is always interesting when a team wins and they're not the preseason favorites. And I know contracts can't affect that. But as long as you have Nikola Jokic playing like this, And I'd love to get, you're all three of you, your perspective, because you're not in Denver. You don't get to watch every game. And in fact, lots of people in Denver don't get to watch every game because of the issues with the Nuggets and Avalanche and Comcast. It's a different conversation. But my point being that lots of fans, because they're on TNT enough, but they're not on TNT as much as the Warriors or the Lakers or even the Bucks with Giannis or maybe the Sixers with Embiid. So people don't see Joker, and he doesn't live above the rim, right? So his highlights aren't going to resonate the way John Morant's might or Zion when he does play. But if you watch the game, anybody that understands the game, and you watch Joker play a whole game, maybe similar to Kawhi Leonard like that, or Tim Duncan, who Joker really likes to pattern a lot of what he does after, he just affects the game the entire course of the 48 minutes that he's on the court or whatever that is, 40 minutes, and throughout the entire season, and everything filters through him. So to have a point center, which is what Aaron Gordon pointed out, but that always seems to make the right play. He'll shoot it when he needs to shoot it. Even when it looks like he has a good shot, he'll pass it up for maybe a better shot or an open three or whatever it may be. As long as you have him and now a healthy Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, who's only 26. It feels like he's been around forever. He's only 26 years old. He's under contract for a couple more years and very happy in his role. Michael Porter Jr. is a bit of an enigma because he's paid as a max guy at $30+ million a year, and his back has certainly failed him. There was a reason he was tabbed to be the number one pick going into college before he got hurt at Mizzou. So you've got those four guys back, and we saw flashes again last night. He still, after the game, is perplexed at his jump shot. He's like, hey, my jumper's broke. I'll fix it. I don't know what's going on. But and they were good looks, too. It wasn't like he was shooting off the side of the backboard. They just weren't going in the basket. They shot 5 of 28 for three. From three, and the Heat weren't much better. And then they were 13 of 23 at the line. That's not good in a closeout game. But your point, the core's there. KCP's contract's obviously a little shorter. I think Bruce Brown's going to go get paid. Maybe they decide to dip into the luxury tax even more. We know that Stan Kroenke can afford it if he wants to. But maybe there's a chance that Bruce Brown has an opportunity to go start somewhere else, that he looks at that. It's hard, though, when you're on a championship team to leave that to go to a lesser team, even if the money is significantly greater. But we'll see how that plays out. That being said, though, the core is in place. Christian Brown's going to continue to play more. They like this kid Peyton Watson out of UCLA. They like Colin Gillespie from Nova, who's been hurt all year, and some of their other young pieces to go with that veteran core that's in their prime. Health matters, right? You look at all the teams that struggle in the playoffs at times. Health can be, it affected Giannis. It certainly seemed to affect Jimmy Butler, and Tyler Hero didn't even play. I guess the Lakers were relatively healthy. Kevin Durant and Kevin Booker were undermanned because Chris Paul got hurt, right? And we could go down the list. The Nuggets were remarkably healthy. And so that plays a factor too, because the last 2 years they haven't been. And that's why they've obviously not done much in the playoffs, although Joker played great those 2 years as well. He just didn't have enough help.
Yeah. Gotcha. Go ahead, K-Walk.
Yeah, you pretty much stole my questions there, Jay. As far as no, you're good. I was going to ask the same question, about how do you guys feel? What's the buzz like as far as this team going far?
Here, real quick. I know y'all are gonna talk about this. I'm sorry to catch up, but what do y'all think? You guys are at a distance. You're not here in Denver. It's easy with with the parade just a couple days away, and my kid throwing confetti on me. And admittedly, I'm from Dallas. I'd love to see the Mavericks do well. The Kyrie trade aggravated me, and this is an easy team to cheer for. Michael Malone has gotten to go through his growing pains and his second stop, and Joker's grown and all that. But I'm curious what you think as basketball fans, but not Nuggets fans per se. As far as, if you were going to go lay some money down on your favorite betting app, or if you're in Vegas and want to throw $50 down on a team to win a championship, even if their odds are 4-1, if you would pick the Nuggets right now, if there's a team you like more, and look, we don't know the draft, we don't know free agency and trades based on what we know now.
Yeah, presently constructed, man. I think you have to go with the Nuggets, and if everyone can stay healthy, like Joel Embiid, Joker can stay healthy, and obviously the health of Jamal Murray is the big difference because he went through that devastating knee injury. So for him to come back and contribute the way he did and ultimately win a championship is huge. You laid out who's under contract and how long they're going to be there. I think Bruce Brown. I think he comes back. I think he takes lesser money on the market. I think it's the smart thing to do because he played a significant role in them winning a championship coming off the bench. So I think that they're poised to be good for at least 3-4 years, providing again you mentioned providing everyone stays healthy for sure. Because there's just no one out there that can stop Joker, man. There's just no one out there who can stop him. I can't see anyone as bad as he looks as far as his unorthodox play. I call him the tube man. And I don't know if you guys know what the tube man is. It's that thing, when you look at car dealerships, he flaps around, he does it in the wind. That's what he looks like to me. But it's ugly, but hey, it's effective for sure. And it's really hard to beat him, to stop him, whether it be under the basket. You mentioned him not being above the rim guy, but he's very effective under the rim, mid-range, and he can stretch it out to the three as well. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit I didn't watch a lot of Nuggets basketball throughout the year. I didn't realize how good Joker was, honestly, until really watching him throughout the playoffs. I mean, this guy's phenomenal. I mean, he's the best player in basketball, in my opinion. And when I look at it, I don't see anyone in the West beating them next year.
Not without a reworked roster, right?
Yeah,
the
right.
Lakers
I mean,
would
they
have to
swept
add
the
a
Lakers.
piece.
I don't think Phoenix is going to have it figured out. So you got to feel like they're definitely going to be the favorite in the West. And there may be some teams in the East that sort of rise up if Philly can figure it out, if Boston can figure it out. But if I was a betting man, I would definitely lay my money down on them to at least get back to the final. All bets are off once you get there, but I definitely think they can get back.
Yeah, I think they could get back. I just love their chemistry. Everyone understands their role, which you don't see a lot of that with other teams. I still struggle with Boston. I just felt like nobody really understood their role. Maybe that was because of Coach Udoka left. I'm not exactly sure what the situation happened there, but everybody understands their role. Like you said, Jamal Murray came back healthy, and I think that was a huge key that a lot of people tend to leave out. Joker is the main star, but Jamal Murray is star 1B. Is it 1A, 1B? Both those guys together, and they play off of each other so well. It makes no sense for both of them to have triple doubles in a game. To me, that was just incredible. I'm just like, whoa.
Right. Joker does stuff every night that we haven't seen, or every time they throw up a stat like only haven't seen it since Wilt Chamberlain or since Kareem or Bill Russell.
Right.
Oh, holy crap, look at these names that he is being mentioned with, because that's how unique it is. And it was something we've literally never seen two teammates in the finals have a triple double in the same game, and we've never seen in the history of any game ever played. And there have been a lot. I haven't counted, and I can't do the math on it. But there's never been two teammates have a 30-point triple-double each. And to do it in the finals on the road it just gives you an idea of how special those guys really are and how remarkable what they can do. It's interesting because there's no real list of best players to not make an all-star team active, right? You can do it at the end of someone's career. But Jamal Murray hasn't been in an all-star game because of the nature of his career and the trajectory. He has a really big playoff run in the bubble. And then in 2021, there's no fans in the stands. When they start that season, 2020, 2021, then he gets hurt, obviously. And so that delayed whatever you thought where he might get to, unless he comes out and is just terrible and averaging less than double digits in points and 4 assists a game and misses a bunch of games. It's hard to think that he won't be an all-star next year, finally, right? And then how many all-stars we'll see. Joker's gone to 5 in a row. I saw something really interesting that he and Giannis both won 2 MVPs before their first finals.
Oh, yeah.
They both have gone to 5 all-star games. They're the same age when they won their finals. The difference is, Joker's game lends itself to be able to, over time, evolve with age, right? Because he doesn't, it's not that he doesn't go fast, but he's not crazy athletic living above the rim the way Giannis does. And he's such a really effective shooter. It's crazy to see him go through stretches where he doesn't put up a shot for over a quarter and a half. Then he takes a 3 at the top of the key, goes in like it's nothing. Floaters around the rim, like it's nothing. He really is in a lot of ways kind of one of one. But it will be interesting to see now that so many people have seen not just the way he plays, but see Jamal Murray put on his, I guess because Robin wore a cape too, right? Batman and Robin both had capes, so he put on his Robin cape. If he's rewarded with a trip to an all-star game, which next year happens to be in Indy. So it's obviously a good position to be in if you're the Nuggets, knowing you've got those two guys in the fold, and then you hope Michael Porter's back stays healthy and that he continues to progress. Real quick to the two, you guys talked about the chemistry. This team is remarkably close. Jeff Green had everybody at his house in South Florida when they got down there before Game 3, coming off that Game 2 loss. These guys go to the movies in groups all the time on the road. Aaron Gordon has this like warehouse clubhouse thing that if you go and look at either Bones Highland's Instagram from when he was here last summer and they were playing ball there. Or Aaron Gordon's tattoo artist has also documented a lot of stuff in there because he goes to do artwork on AG or his friends or teammates, bodies, canvases, right? And so the tattoo artist has a bunch of IG stuff and YouTube videos of this warehouse, and they hang out there all the time. These guys play video games, right? They're together at work all day, or they're on the road. Then they get home and they're playing Call of Duty with each other. They just really like each other. And anybody that's ever been on a team knows you can't quantify that or put a value on that.
That's right.
When guys really like each other, and most championship teams have that. Not every one of them does, but the ones that do, you can tell it's something special.
Yeah. And just one more point about Joker, because now everyone in the country obviously knows now how good this guy actually is on the court, but off the court, he sort of carries himself, unlike any other NBA superstar. What's your feeling of him off the court? Is he really as sort of nonchalant and just kind of easygoing as he appears to be in some of these interviews and things like that?
I think he might have froze.
Did we lose him?
Did we lose him?
Am I back?
Yeah,
you're back. You're good.
You're back.
I can hear you. I can see you. And I have internet issues at the house that are being corrected tomorrow. But I think I got where you were going, Jason, just about Joker's personality, right?
Yeah.
I think you're able to see that it's pretty impressive that his sense of humor or his smart ass kind of look at the world translates, right? And I understand that body language and all of that can translate, but English is very much his second language, and he's able to capture the nuance of trash talk and smart assery and all of that. His teammates love him. His coaches have a great relationship, specifically Michael Malone, who goes to Serbia all the time to see him, to watch him in the summer, whether he's playing or just to hang out like they did last summer and give him the MVP. And he's gone, without a whole, cast of characters and coaches. He's gone by himself to really understand. And it's the same way Greg Popovich could get on Tim Duncan, right? When you can get on your best players, it just trickles down. But his teammates really do love him, even if he prefers most times to hang out with his brothers and his wife and his brother's significant others, because they're all hanging out listening to Serbian music and whatever. They don't not welcome teammates over. They just are a really tight-knit group and have been forever since Nikola came over here 8 years ago as a young kid, 19, 20 years old from Serbia. His brothers came with him. They're two guys you do not want to mess with. I know that we've seen some guys that have some serious crews around them across the history of the NBA or NFL, whatever, and you don't know exactly everyone's story. Yeah. I know that those dudes are two guys I do not want to mess with. And I would absolutely want in my household is Jokic brothers. But he is honest when he says he doesn't really seem to care about the awards. I think he's so blown away at his status, right, as this great player. He just wanted to come over and play basketball. But he does kind of view it as a job. That's why post-game he's like, I just did my job. And then he found out the parade's Thursday, and he's pissed he can't get to Serbia to see his horse. And look, I think he loves Denver, and Denver, we do a good job of leaving him alone, I think, for the most part, just like any star in any city. But, once they're there and you go to your places and you're comfortable. He lives near Russell Wilson and Chris Bryant and Gabe Landeskog. They're kind of all in the same neighborhood. Peyton Manning and John Elway are around the corner. So is Mike Shanahan. Like, he lives in a certain part of town, but as much as he loves it here, he really loves Sombor, Serbia, and his horses and his horse farm. And he likes the time to be able to get away to go spend those 2 or 3 months there. So I don't think it's that, I hate Denver, I need to get out of here, right? Adam Jones, you remember the outfielder for the Orioles years ago, joked, what's your favorite part of Baltimore? He said the airport. That's not what he's ready. It's the longest season he's had now, counting the stuff around the pandemic. He's ready to just get home and relax and decompress.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, last question here, man. You mentioned the Broncos. You mentioned Denver's a Bronco town. So I want to switch gears a little bit and ask you about the Broncos and the possibility of Dalvin Cook joining that. I mean, there's rumors that he may be traded there or he may be signing there. What's the buzz like there? And then what's the possibility of him actually being there?
Well, it feels like they're maybe trying to drive his price down, and I haven't done a lot of digging on it because I've been so in on the Nuggets. I was over there today and caught the end of the mini camp practice. As you can imagine, late night and then early morning doing morning updates. Yeah. I had to take care of some stuff and then got there, and Sean was talked and the linebacker talked talked about because we're not sure where Javonte Williams' recovery is, and because George Payton, the Broncos GM, was the assistant GM for 14 years in Minnesota. But there are people that I trust that say the Broncos aren't really pursuing him. So that may be a negotiating tactic if he wants to come here and play in this offense. Also, Javonte Williams is out at OTAs and minicamp. And for a guy that hurt his knee as bad as he did in week 4, it appears he's ahead of schedule. Yeah. And I think that's contradicting some reports that we were getting early in the offseason that he may be behind schedule, because when he showed up at that first OTA practice, we were allowed to watch, and he's got a knee brace on. He doesn't have it on for a little bit, then he has it on, and he's kind of going through some of the drills. Now, everything is half speed at most, and he's certainly not when they ratchet the intensity up out there. But he appears to be ahead of schedule. They signed Samaje Perine from Cincinnati, so I'm not saying Dalvin Cook won't be here, but they just gave Frank Clark a 1-year, $7.5 million deal to come over from the Chiefs. They're kind of running out of money, especially knowing that they're going to have to figure out how to sign some guys, or if they have to move on from Russell Wilson, which they certainly don't want to do. They want Russell to be good and live up to the contract and the billing. But if they do, that's really going to affect their cap. It would have crushed it this year, but it'll hamper it a lot next year. So they need to have a little bit of flexibility. You're not going to sign Dalvin Cook to anything beyond a 1-year deal. And so I'm not saying he won't end up here, but I don't think it's a priority. If it was, he'd already be here.
Gotcha. Sounds good. All right, good stuff, buddy. Appreciate it. I don't know if Jason or Britt has anything else to add or ask.
Give me a quick prediction on how many wins Coach Prime will get this year at Colorado.
You know, it's funny because their schedule is not great, and there's a bunch of NFL quarterbacks in the Pac-12. You know, obviously Caleb Williams, but the Penix kid up at Washington, and there's a couple more Bo Nix at Oregon. And I don't know where Bo Nix is as a pro, but you know, legit quarterbacks up and down that league. Yeah. And they go to TCU to open the season. Nebraska comes here in week 2, and obviously Nebraska with Matt Rule, we know they'll be ready to play. Who knows what he can get out of them? It's of course an old Big 8 rivalry, let alone a Big 12 rivalry. And so I hope they win 6 games and go to a bowl game, because I bet $100 with my neighbor, who's a huge Ohio State fan and Ohio State alum. And part of it was I was using the Lincoln Riley model of like, look, there's good players there, and USC had better players than Colorado had. But he takes a 3-win team and has them, you know, knocking on the door of the playoff. Again, it helped have Caleb Williams. But Deion's kid's a legit pro prospect too. Yep. I don't know if he is a surefire first rounder, but he was a real deal 4-star coming out. And Deion wasn't coaching at that point. People didn't know, you know, he was ranked 4-star. If he could run like his dad, he'd be Lamar Jackson. But he can really sling the rock. He's a smart kid. He gets the best coaching you could possibly get, because when he's not working with the coaches at CU, he's hanging out with Tom Brady, right? Or he's around people like that, because he's his dad's son and has access to some of the best football minds in the world. And so they're going to be competitive. Travis Hunter is a legit top 5 kind of pick, can play both sides of the ball. They may not win the 6 games. I may lose $100 to my neighbor, but they're certainly going to be more competitive than what we saw last year, where they only win 1 game. And it'll just be interesting to see, one, are they headed to the Big 12 because Deion thinks he can recruit Texas better? And there's, you know, a wealth of talent in Texas. Not that there isn't on the western half of the United States, but there's ties there. Pac-12's falling apart. And so how long will he stay here? My I guess, you know, hesitation about let's build him a statue right now. And look, I've got Deion Sanders action figures somewhere, you know. I mean, I'm from Dallas. There's more than one, but I'm sure I can find if I look. You know, my kids are always messing with stuff that's not up here. So anyway, my point is, I love Deion the player. Deion the coach, I'm amused by, and I've enjoyed the handful of interactions I've had with him. And we're the Buff station at KOA, so it's good for business that he's here. Yeah, and he was making $500,000 or whatever that number was at Jackson State. He's making upwards of 6 here. I'm still nervous that someone, you know, the SEC or Florida State's going to come calling, and the Lord will tell him to go there, just like the Lord told him to come here. So if that happens, it happens. But, you know, he'll probably leave it in a better place than he found it. That being said, it'd be cool if they not only win, and look, they're not playing for a playoff yet, but with the playoff expanding, he might think that Colorado's a place he wants to be, because they took a chance on him. They're a Power 5 school. If it becomes a Power 4, whatever, and that he can handle this part of the country, have his own, you know, kingdom, and then just go and beat people with all these pros that he's going to continue to recruit that want to spend and all the NFL guys that are and go on.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, we're losing you there, buddy.
We're losing you, but we can still hear you a little bit. You're going in and out.
Probably closer to. I'm hoping it's 6 so I can win the $100 from my neighbor. Oh, here, I'll type my prediction in.
All right.
I was saying I hope it's 6, but it's probably closer to 4.
All right, B, we're not gonna keep you, man. We know you're dealing with that, and I know you got the kids and the wife, man. Want to appreciate you for joining us on short notice, man. Continue to enjoy the confetti, man, and congratulations to your Denver Nuggets, man. So and Joker, man, he won me over. As much as I didn't like him against my Heat, he won me over as a basketball player and as a person as well. So keep up the great work, man.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate
it.
Thank you.
See you, Brandon.
You got it, buddy.
All righty, guys. All right. So sorry, I had to focus on something else real fast. But all right, guys. So thank you, Brandon, once again. He gave us some real good insight.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good.
With the Nuggets, what's going on with the Broncos. I know that city is going crazy right now because, again, this is the Denver Nuggets' first ever NBA title in their entire history. Wow, that's amazing.
It took a lot for me to ask him to come on, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm a Heat fan, so he's in Denver. Took a lot of it. Took all my professionalism that I had in me. No, I'm just kidding. Now, great guy, always a great interview though. Go ahead.
I was going to say, K-Walk, you did well. You did well. So I understand you did very, very well. This was last year with the Eagles.
I learned from the Eagles in the 49er game that that I can handle the defeat right now. Even though I didn't have much expectations of the Heat as I did the 49ers, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah, no worry. I feel you. Remember, I had the Eagles, the Union, and the Phillies. So trust me, I understand that one. All right, guys. On that note, we're going to head into break. When we come back, we're going to talk more NBA, hopefully get into some NFL, and also I have to do my ultimate goals. But you guys are watching the Sideline Speaks with myself, Brittany Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Media Network.
CampLyman.com is an opportunity for my big boys to come get some work. Let's put it all together. We built from the ground up. Our cliche is it all starts up front. Once again, start, stance, hand placement, hand separation, get-offs, counter moves, a little bit of everything. Polish up those skills before your middle school or high school season began. Just come work on your craft. Once again, CampLyman.com.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Brittany Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.
Welcome back to the Sideline Speaks with myself, Brittany Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Media Network. All right, guys, prior to the break, we had a special guest, Brandon Cristall. I said it right, K-Walk, Cristall, like the champagne. I'm learning. And he was just amazing. So again, thank you, Brandon, for coming on. So we talked about the NBA championship and what happened there, and we're going to continue into that conversation. That's why I brought it back up, because I have to ask you guys a question pertaining to that, and I want to know your thoughts on Jimmy Butler's performance in Game 5 of the Finals. How did you feel about his performance? K-Walk, I'll come to you last. But Jay, what were your thoughts on his performance?
To be honest, Britt, there were just too many times where he felt invisible to me. Like there were stretches of the game where I didn't hear his name. His name wasn't called on either end of the floor, and I almost forgot about him at times. And I just think, when you're the best player on your team in an elimination game, you've got to show up more than he did. Now, there's some rumors that maybe he's banged up or whatever the case may be, but there's no excuses. When you're out there, you got to perform. And I just felt like he just didn't perform last night. Now, to his credit, at the end of the game, he did make a few big shots to sort of give Miami that sort of last chance to try to pull it off. But for me, like the totality of the game, there were just too many times where he was just invisible. I didn't even know he was on the floor. So I just don't think the Heat got out of him last night sort of what they were expecting, especially, and part of it is because he set the bar so high in all the other series, the way he performed, you're almost waiting and expecting him to do that again. But I do think some of the matchups that Denver had, and particularly Aaron Gordon guarding him, it's just a tough matchup for Jimmy. So he just wasn't able to kind of rise up to that next level. But for me, he just felt invisible at times.
Yeah, this series was a little tough for Jimmy Butler. He still has that same grit type of attitude, and you can see it in a lot of plays that he made. But it just was times, like you said, he just went missing at times. And like you said, it could have been Aaron Gordon had a little bit more of an impact on him versus the other series. Like I said, I don't like to use injury, but look, that can really be a situation, or really
it can be a reason
itself.
for sure.
Yeah, a valid reason for sure. We've seen that in other series. I said the same thing. I don't like to call it when Jason Tatum got hurt and I don't care if he was hurt or not. That was just a bad game for the Celtics in Game 7. But he got hurt, and he clearly wasn't the same person. Same thing with Joel Embiid. During even that started in the Nets series. But if you're playing, you got to give your all, right? So it's a little hard to throw that in there, but you could tell something wasn't right, because in the first couple series of the playoffs, Jimmy Butler was that guy. It's like toward the ladder of the Celtics series going into this finals, everybody else had to play, really take their game to the next level to kind of help whatever was going on with Jimmy Butler. And I think with the Nuggets, it was just a little too much to overcome. Their size, their athleticism was a little bit too much. And it's hard for me to say this because Jimmy is my guy. I love everything about Jimmy Butler. He is literally my guy. But, you are, like you said, Jay, you are the star of the team. You have to be able to elevate your game. And he clearly struggled in an elimination game, unfortunately. But K-Walk, this is your team. What were your thoughts on Jimmy Butler's game in particular in Game 5?
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys just mentioned. He seemed like, where's Jimmy at? Even though he's standing right there in front of the camera in the corner, and you ask yourself, where are you at, Jimmy? And Mark Jackson and I said it at the same time. Okay, now where's Jimmy at? especially at the end of the game. This is Jimmy Butler time, and I said it to my wife as well. And I'm not saying this is the reason why it happened, but then he goes on for 13 straight points. And my saying is, you don't have to be great all the time. You just have to be great when you needed to be. He was great when he needed to be, but I think it was despite him not having a great game, and despite them missing so many threes, and Denver still gave him an opportunity to win that game. But like you mentioned, Brett, there was just too outmanned, if you will. It was too much for them to overcome. And as a Heat fan, again, as I stated earlier, I came in with zero expectations of this series. I was just a Heat fan, even from the play-in games. I didn't expect anything like this to happen. No run like this. No one did. And as a Heat fan, a diehard Heat fan, I didn't expect it. I wasn't upset that they lost the game. I was upset that Jimmy didn't take over. But then you have to ask yourself, was Jimmy exhausted? Did he overexert himself? Was he hurt? Nonetheless, he was on the court. So if you're on the court, you're available. So that means that we're expecting to see that Jimmy. A lot of people were expecting to see that Jimmy we saw in the Milwaukee game series. Him saying, "This is my, what," and that's what, like Jay said, the bar was raised very, very high. But unfortunately, Jimmy and those other guys couldn't get it done, and you could just see Jimmy just couldn't get it done, man. And Denver knew that, and they smelled blood in the water, and they attacked, man. So, but as far as overall for Jimmy's performance, I thought he gave it all he had, and he did what he was supposed to do as the leader and as the star of that team. He carried those guys as far as he could possibly carry them, before it just became too much.
Yeah, it's crazy because this Miami Heat team reminds me of that 2001 Sixers team so much, where you're just winning on pure will and grit and toughness. Because even Allen Iverson and that 2000, they shouldn't even been in that championship that year, but they hit a team in the Lakers that was just as probably more talented, 1-1 game, and that Lakers team was just beyond way too much. They probably way too much for any team in the NBA now, but it's just that chemistry, that passion, and that's what I've seen in this Heat team. And it really impressed me. It truly impressed me a lot, and it just took me back a little bit. Just having that excitement, knowing that your team is only but so much talented, but they're grinding it out and they're fighting so hard. And then also to think about it, going into a finals where almost every series that you're playing to a game 7. I feel like, the Celtics went to a game 7. Who was it previously? Was it Milwaukee prior to that?
No, the Knicks.
I think
Knicks went 6.
Oh, the Knicks that went 6. Milwaukee was the first round. That went 5. So I'm like, eventually you're going to get exhausted. I think Nuggets, they swept somebody, and then they
the Nuggets only lost 4 games the whole way through. So they definitely played a lot less games.
They had a lot more rest than this Heat team, and that could have factored in as well. So, but it was I'm impressed with the Miami Heat. I really am. So I have to give them credit. They lost, but they should be proud of themselves for real. All right, guys. Any more thoughts on the Miami Heat, Nuggets? Want to get anything else out there? We're going to talk about it.
Let me ask you this question before we move on, man. Is between just for both teams, we talked about Miami and what they did and what they overcame as far as not being that superstar type like team. And you could say the same thing for the Nuggets. I mean, they have Jokic obviously and Jamal Murray, but those other guys, they're decent guys, but they're not a superstar team. They don't have a big 3, if you will. My question is, did Miami and the Nuggets, kill the concept of that you need a superstar team or a super team in order to win a championship? Britt, I'll ask you that first.
Gosh, I hope so.
All right.
I can't stand. I hated super teams when the super teams started. I know a lot of people blame LeBron for it, but it really started with the Celtics when they had KG and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and whoever else was on that daggone team. Boy, do I hope so. Because I could see 2 stars. Nuggets have 2 stars. They have Joker and they have Jamal Murray. They actually have a young rising star. I know he wasn't very consistent in Michael Porter Jr. I've loved him in college. He's just very injury prone. Man, I hope so, because I can't stand it. Like, just get some good quality role players that work well with your 1 or 2 star players, and then go from there versus trying to put all these star players that don't fit, or they're only there for a year and then you messing up the team for the next 20 years. I hope so. We're going to find out though, but I hope so.
It's funny, K-Walk, that you asked that, because I was thinking about this a few days ago. And I don't know if it's going to kill the idea of a super team, because I think there's always going to be teams that think, oh, if I go grab KD, we can win it. Or let me get LeBron, we can win it. So I think teams will still try it. But I do think it proved that team basketball is what's going to win you a championship. Like having 1 or 2 ISO guys that are like, oh, I can just get a bucket whenever I need to. I don't know that wins, man. I think Denver and Miami, both teams have played really good team basketball. Even when you look at Golden State and the championships they won, even though they have stars, they play team basketball. I don't know that these teams like a Phoenix, for example, that think, oh, we just got a couple guys that can get buckets. I don't think that's going to win you an NBA championship anymore. So to your point, I do think the concept of we got to have a team. People have to play their roles, and you got to have a team. I think that's what's going to get you championships now. I really do.
Here's my thing to that.
Go ahead, Brett.
Go ahead. No, here's my thing to that. Somebody came along and said, I want 3 stars, because if you look at throughout the history of the NBA, I'm not, we know college and all that, but the history of the NBA, majority of the teams who won played team basketball. They may have had 1, maybe 2 stars. The other stars were role players. It started really with, I don't know, way back in the day, Boston Celtics. A lot of times they didn't have star players, but they had good team basketball, played well, good chemistry, and everybody understood their roles. Like Jay said, early, mid 2000s, somebody want to come on, oh, let me add a 3rd star.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, also,
easier.
with all that being said, how important is coaching? Britt, how important?
Very important.
We've seen, because a lot of these max team or a lot of these superstar teams, man, they feel like they can just grab a guy who's coaching, a team in the YMCA, and they feel like, hey, you want to come coach for us? We got, I'm just using his names. We got KD, we got Kyrie, we got James Harden. I'm just using those names for an example purposes only, but we just need you to be there for the title's sake. We don't really need you to coach for us. But what say you, Britt? Again, how important is coaching? Because we saw that in Miami, especially Miami. But how important is it?
Yeah, Miami's had it since forever. Miami's had it. I know the Spurs have been out for a while because they're just so young, but Coach Pop has been there for years, and that's why he's considered one of the best coaches, if not the best coaches, coaching the NBA. Between him and Coach Sposed, 1A, 1B. But coaching is extremely important. We could see it with the Boston Celtics. Prime example. Last year they had a good coach in Coach Udoka, who helped this team to identify their roles, had to make sure they had a focus, we're a defensive-minded team first, and then we go off of that, And then this year, I don't know what the heck happened. You have the same players. The only thing that changed was what? The head coach changed. Right. That was really it. You come in, Coach Michael Malone and Coach Spoelstra, which are all very familiar, help their team, help to create a culture, the Heat's culture. We're going to grind. We're gritty. We're going to play tough. We're going to play hard each and every game, regardless of the talent pool. And then how important it is to come out of timeouts, to draw up the X and O's, to understand how to put your players in position to really succeed. That is a coach's job. When you are Kyrie Irving and KD and you want to be the coach, you see what happens. You go to Brooklyn and get swept by a lesser team. So to me, coaching, regardless of what level of basketball you're playing, coaching has always been important.
Yeah, I think it's been underrated in the NBA for so long because to the NBA, they market their stars, right? Whereas the NFL, they more market team, the NBA markets stars. And when you do that, I do think it devalues the coaching a little bit. But I do think now, like with this finals, it shows you just how important coaching is. It really does. And even if you go back and just look, even over the last 20 years or so, like who won championships, there was always a good coach on that sideline. There may be an outlier here or there, but you talk about Phil Jackson, Popovich, Spoelstra, Steve Kerr, these guys are really good coaches. So to your point, K-Walk, I definitely think coaching matters. To me, the big difference in the NBA are the coaches that are willing to hold their players accountable and the ones that are willing to let things slide. There's too many coaches in the NBA that let things slide. And the ones that hold people accountable, they're the guys that are standing at the end. So I think it's huge.
That's why I got Boo Boo Food by Doc Rivers. I thought he was going to hold his team accountable. He used to be a coach that hold his players accountable. He gets to the Sixers, and then he got crybaby Ben Simmons, and you come over with James Harden. And my guy is always going to be Joel Embiid. He's injury prone as heck, but he got to stop playing second to these guys. I'm like, can somebody hold these guys accountable? So I'm praying, guys, that Nick Nurse is the one to hold these guys accountable. Without a James Harden,
he's saying all the right things so far. So we'll see.
We'll see. Doc Rivers did the same thing. We'll see what happens. All right, guys, let's move on. I still want to talk about the NBA because now that the championship is done and over, the Denver Nuggets, as we know, are the champions. Congratulations to them. We are rolling right into the NBA offseason. No word on Ja Morant yet, but we'll talk about that later. So Wizards star Wizards star guard Bradley Beal may be on the trade block. Interesting. So I just want to know what potential destinations do you think he could potentially get traded to? K-Walk, I'm going to come to you first on this one.
You know what, Britt? When you posed this question, I did some homework on Bradley Beal. It's not going to be easy to trade Bradley Beal because Bradley Beal has a no trade contract. No trade clause in his contract. So it's going to be hard for them to trade him. I don't know if they'll trade him because they have Kristaps Porzingis. He's going to be a free agent. Kyle Kuzma, he's going to be a free agent as well. So I don't know if you want to trade Bradley Beal, but for the sake of the question, I think maybe. I don't know if they'll do it, but maybe New York. That'll be a good look for him. Him teaming up with Jalen Brunson. That'll be a nice little backcourt there for sure. So I would say that's the only team that I would say that he possibly, not only team, but the one that jumps out at me right now for the sake of The question is the New York Knicks. Again, I don't know if the Wizards would do it in conference, but that's one of the teams that I can see them going possibly. I don't know how much the LA Lakers have to trade. Possibly, I don't know what type of trade commodity they have there. That jumped out at me as well. And also, possibly the Suns for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Suns has made that trade, so I don't know how much trading commodity they have there. But first and foremost, the Knicks jump out at me, for sure.
Yeah, I think the Knicks was actually be a good look though. Next to Jalen Brunson, you still have Randall, Julius Randle there. I still think they will probably need one or two more pieces outside of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
They were also on my list. That's why I absolutely agree with that. The Mavericks are on my list. Him next to Luka, I think will be pretty good. No defense from either one of them, but hey, it's okay. It'll still work out. You have a good one and two. I don't have a clue how they would potentially make it work because there's just no trade assets, but possibility if James Harden leaves, the Sixers could be in on him as well. There actually has been rumors that the Sixers are trying to talk to the Wizards to potentially bring him in. Bradley Beal and Joel Embiid are very good friends, apparently. If you can keep Tyrese Maxey, maybe Maxey can then play the one. He had a lot of practice last season, and then Bradley Beal ends up playing the two. Although Maxey is more of a two guy, we'll see about that. That's still a small, not great defensive backcourt, but it might work. And then my last one also, K-Walk mentioned, was the Lakers. I think him paired up with a healthy, hopefully, AD and a healthy LeBron, that could actually be, a very good team. And odds are they're going to do everything they can to keep Austin Reeves. So they have some good young pieces over there. That's a pretty good team. I love Bradley Bills. He can shoot. He's a very good shooter or a very good scorer. And he has this tough mentality. He just needs to stay healthy. He got to play more than 60 games a year. But Jay, what are your thoughts?
No, I think you guys hit all the right teams. For me, I think wherever he goes, I think in Bradley Bill's mind, he probably thinks that he's still the guy. And I think he's got to go to a team where he's the other guy, where he's number two or even a number three, because I think in that role, he'd be super effective.
Yeah.
If he's the best player on your roster, I don't think that's going to get you anywhere. So if I'm Bradley Beal and I have a choice to say, hey, I want to go there, I don't want to go there, I think he's got to humble himself a little bit and say, let me go somewhere where I'm number two, maybe even number three, and then we got a really good team, and not try to go somewhere where he can be the guy. That's why I love New York. I think with him and Randall and the point guard whose name is escaping me right now,
Jalen
Brunson. Yeah, I think that's a good trio. And then, like you guys mentioned, the Lakers under LeBron's leadership and AD, that could be a really nice trio as well. So as long as he's not the guy, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think this season, I think he'll definitely be traded. I think it's time for the Wizards just to start over. It hasn't worked out in years. They keep starting over, but maybe this is the right start over. And we'll see about Damian Lillard with the Blazers. I know the Blazers are trying to hold on and get him a second star versus trying to trade him, but I think depending on what they do this offseason, Damian Lillard may end up asking out. So and I know it's quite a few teams that he may potentially be interested in if he could get traded to them. It sounds like we're gonna have a lot of sign-in trades this summer. And I hope Phoenix wants James Harden that bad, so we can do a sign-in trade with them. But we'll move on.
Please, send him to Phoenix.
And we'll go to the NFL. So I have a list of players, okay? And I just wanted to tell you, free agent guys, and I just want you guys to tell me. I'm only going to do about 3 because I got to get to the ultimate goal before we move on to commercial and Jay takes over. But I'm going to list some players, and I just want you to tell me where you think these particular NFL players will sign, hopefully before training camp or right before the season begins. First one, very well known. This has been talked about a lot recently since Arizona Cardinals released them. And I know we spoke about this before, but I would like for us to speak about it again. Wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, a.k.a. D-Hop. Where do you think he will sign? Where do you think he will go to? Which team do you think he will sign with? How about, there we go. I got to figure it out, guys. This offseason. Jay, I'm going to come to you first.
Look, I'm not being a Cowboy lover here, but I really think if he goes to the Cowboys, that would be good, right? You got D-Hop and CD Lamb, and then I think Brandon Cooks is still on that roster as well. That's a pretty nice trio there. That gives Dak a lot of different weapons to go to. So I think the Cowboys could be a really nice destination for him. There's rumors that he's really interested in the Patriots. I'm not exactly sure why, but he's enamored with the organization for some reason. So the Patriots might also be an option. But if I'm D-Hop, go to that star, go to the star, go to Dallas, play for America's team. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Jay, you probably didn't see that interview when they asked him about Dak Prescott, and he was like, yeah, nah.
He's gonna have to get over that.
Nah.
He's gonna have to get over that.
But no, for me, of course, I would love him for the Eagles, but it's just not enough football to go around.
Yeah,
Devontae Smith and AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert. Hey, he said he would like to come here, but we're not giving up one of those other guys for him to come here. But I mean, I had a few teams, Baltimore. I don't know if they have enough money. I know we spoke about this before. I think Baltimore with him and Odell, that would give Lamar Jackson all the weapons that he needs to have a good year, and no excuses this year. A lot of people haven't really spoke too much about it, but what about Denver? I know they were looking to get rid of, I don't know if it was KJ Hamler or Jerry Jeudy, one of them, but he would be a great target for Russell Wilson. I know Sean Payton would love to have him. So I didn't really write a list of teams if I'm going off the top of mine here today. So those two, and I know I said a couple other teams in the past, but I'm going to start out with those two. But K-Walk, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was all in with one team until the rumor came out or the news came out. Like Jay mentioned, the Patriots. He's supposed to be meeting with the Patriots tomorrow and Thursday. So we know that the Patriots have a lot of cap space. They have a lot of cap space there. So if it's about the money for D-Hop, and he could potentially win there too, because you got Bill Belichick. They got a young quarterback and Mac Jones, and they don't really have a star receiver over there. They rarely have a star receiver over there, to be honest with you. So that may be a good look. You guys said that he's very interested in the organization. Spending 2 days there says a lot.
Yeah,
it says a lot. It's all about the numbers. I'm assuming there. But the team, before that rumor came out, before I heard that news, I thought about the Browns. I thought the Browns and reuniting with Deshaun Watson might be a good look there. I think that would be a really good look there. I know they got they had a good running game there. I forget which one of the run. I think it's Kareem Hunt that is no longer there. But they still have a decent running game there. They still have Njoku, the tight end there. So, I mean, it's a good look, and it's a great receiver. They have chemistry together between D-Watt and D-Hop there. And I'm pun intended, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't really mean to do that. But I think that'd be a good fit for both sides. But it looks like it's leaning towards the Patriots, so for sure. But I like the Browns.
And let's not forget the Titans. I know there was a lot of interest there too. We actually visit the Titans as well, and they absolutely need a star, but they need a little bit more than that as well. All right, next one, guys. He recently was officially released by the Vikings. Running back Dalvin Cook. What team do you think he will sign? K-Walk, I'm gonna start with you on this one.
Yeah, I have two teams on here, and we talked about it earlier with Brandon about this, because it was rumors that the Broncos are one of the favorites to land Dalvin Cook for sure. But another team that jumps out, and I think it'd be a better fit than the Broncos, and that's the Miami Dolphins. I think with his skill set, the way he's a dual threat out of the backfield. He's still got some speed there. He's a decent receiver out of the backfield, and what Mike McDaniels like to do over there is they like to get the ball, they like to get the running backs involved in the passing game. So those two teams jumped out at me. After talking to Brandon, I'm not so sure. After listening to him, I'm not so sure about the Broncos. So with that being said, I'm going to say the Dolphins. I like that. I like that move.
Yeah, for me, I've only had one team, and that to me was Miami Dolphins. For all the reasons K-Walk said, and he also provides protection for Tua. Yeah. Tua's been hurt the last couple years. Really got hurt bad last year. If he goes over to Miami with those two receivers and Tua is able to elevate his game, That's going to be a very tough offense
That'd be
to
dangerous.
stop. You know,
yeah.
that is a very, very dangerous team. So I don't see why not. In my mind, go to Miami, no questions about it. But Jay, your thoughts?
Yeah, I was reading earlier today that the Chicago Bears might really be in the mix for him. Obviously, Justin Fields, young quarterback, still developing. To have a guy like Cook in the backfield just to take some of the pressure off, I think that could be really huge. So keep your eyes on the Bears, because I definitely think they're going to want to see if they can make a move to get a hold of him.
Right. One more, then we'll move on because we got to get to break. Jadeveon Clowney. This one's an interesting one. For those who don't know, defensive end Jadeveon Clowney. Which team do you think he will sign with? Jay, I'm gonna start with you first.
I don't know. This was a tough one. I mean, is anyone beating down the door for Clowney still? I mean, he's phenomenal talent, but he's always injured. So I don't know that there's going to be a lot of people beating down the door. But I think I read somewhere that maybe Seattle. Pete Carroll likes guys like that. Maybe can come in and be a pass rusher on third down, something like that. So I've got Seattle on my list, but it's going to be interesting to see what the market really is for Clowney now that he's later in his career.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you said, Jay, he's so injury prone, so you don't know exactly how teams are really feeling about him right now.
Yeah.
He was talented. He's very talented. But as a free agent, I was actually thinking of the team Jay rooted for last year. Don't know if he'll root for his team this year. He hasn't declared that yet, but the Cowboys, have a quality pass rusher as long as he stays healthy on the other side of Michael Parsons. That could be very interesting. He's not that old. What, he's about 28, 29 years old. I think. So still somewhat fairly young. If not, I heard they were interested in trading for Chase Young. I don't know if Washington's going to do that, but I mean, why not? That's a decent team. I would say my Eagles, but we're so stacked on both. Yeah, that's just too many players. I'm being greedy now. I don't mind being greedy. But yeah, I thought maybe the Cowboys. You're going to definitely need a pass rush going up against, this Eagles twice a year, or there's really nobody else in our division. So going up against the Eagles, I know they have the 49ers next year as well. So you definitely need both sides, two guys on both sides on that defense. But K-Walk, your thoughts?
Yeah, you mentioned a team that I think he'd be an excellent fit for, and that's the 49ers. I'm not saying that because I'm a 49er fan. I think, no, I'm serious. I just really think that's a good fit. The 49ers need another, quality pass rusher on the opposite side of Nick Bosa. And you guys mentioned he's injury prone, and with that 49ers defense and how they're really deep there, but what they don't have is they don't have a bona fide pass rusher on the opposite side of Nick Bosa. They have young Drake Jackson there for sure. He's coming along, but he's still raw. But I think you put Jadeveon Clowney in there with Coach Chris Kuriak, the defensive line coach there, man. Put him in certain situations where you put him on third down and have him go pin his ears back and go get the quarterback for sure. And that way you can salvage him, you can save him from those injuries, to lower the risk of those injuries. But I'm not even saying this as a 49er fan. I think that'd be a really good look for both sides for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with Jadeveon Clowney. Next thing you know, we might hear that he retired. But all right, guys, let's move on. Do the injuries, guys. So now we're going to move on to Ultimate GOAT, the GOAT of all GOATs. I'm going to name 5 athletes. K-Walk and Jay will tell me who they think is the GOAT of all these particular 5 athletes. All right, so first we're starting off with quarterback Peyton Manning. Long-time NFL quarterback, Hall of Fame. Next, we're going to go with guard Kobe Bean Bryant. Next, we're going to go with track superstar Usain Bolt.
Ooh.
Next, y'all know I always got to throw my women in there. We're going to go with forward, the amazing forward Maya Moore. And then we're going to go with the swim champ. Still don't know how he did that, smoking all that marijuana. Yes, I said marijuana. Michael Phelps. Who do you think is the GOAT of all GOATs amongst these 5 athletes? Who want to go first?
K-Walk, you got it.
Yeah, I'll go
need a
first on
minute.
this one. Yeah, all of these are great. Peyton Manning, 2 Super Bowls, 2 different teams. I like it. I don't, I have him in my top 5 all-time quarterbacks. All-time quarterbacks. Great argument there. Kobe it's Kobe. With 5 championships there. What's he say? I'm sorry. Usain Bolt was he was insane. Usain was insane. I mean, I just didn't see anyone as fast as this guy, man, for sure. Maya Moore. Oh my God, I have her on my all-time team
She has
as well.
4 or 5.
Yeah, but I have her on my all-time starting team. To be honest with you, I think we're supposed to do that at one point, but nonetheless. But I'm going to go with Michael Phelps, man. I think Michael Phelps and everything that he did, and all of the gold medals, the silver medals, all the medals that he won, and how dominant he was in the sport. I think out of this group, I think he was the most dominant, with Usain Bolt being a close second. But I think Michael Phelps did it more and did it longer. So I'm going to go with Michael Phelps here.
Yeah, K-Walk, you took my answer. I had Michael Phelps on this one. I thought about Usain Bolt, and I thought about Maya Moore, because Maya Moore was dominant.
Yeah.
And every year she was basically in the WNBA, she won a championship just about. But Michael Phelps is just on another daggone level. Like I said, you never really seen anybody smoke weed and go win the swim meet. It's unheard of. Nobody really does it. I'm not even sure if he was supposed to do it. He never got caught. But he was just on another level year after year after year after year for so long, like K-Walk said. So I got to go with Michael Phelps also. Jay, who you got?
Man, when you said Usain Bolt, I was like, that's my pick. I was definitely going with Bolt. Still holds the record at the 100 and the 200 meter. But then when you said Phelps, I immediately said, well, I got to go Phelps. 28 Olympic medals. I mean, that's crazy. Just blowing everybody out of the water. I was just looking it up. I think he's got 85 medals in total, just throughout swimming, and like 65 of them are gold. I mean, he was just ridiculous. So I think he's the only choice here. So I'm gonna make it unanimous. I'm going Phelps as well.
All right, one more. I actually have 2 today, so I got 3 minutes.
These are good.
One more.
These are good.
And this one is my all-female goats. All right, so you got to choose a female on this one. All right, first one, the amazing center Lisa Leslie, longtime WNBA player. The amazing gymnast, Miss Simone Biles. Track star for a lifetime, Miss Allison Felix. Tennis great, Miss Venus Williams. And amazing soccer player, Miss Mia Hamm. Who do you think is the GOAT of all GOATs? I know, K-Walk, you went first last time. Jay, I got to go with you first on this one.
Man, I was pretty sure where I was going until you threw Mia Hamm in there. I really liked Mia Hamm when they were winning that gold back in the early 90s. So that was a really good one. But I'm not going to change my mind. I'm going to go Simone Biles here, because I don't think people realize just how incredible she is. I mean, she changed women's gymnastics. I mean, she did things that no one could ever do before. She was just absolutely ridiculous. So I think when I look at all these players, like Venus isn't the best women's tennis player ever. I don't think Allison Felix is the best women's track athlete ever. She has a lot of medals, but I don't know that I would say she's the best. Lisa Leslie, she's probably underrated for me, but I just think Simone is head and shoulders above all of her competition. So I'm going Simone Biles here.
That's a good choice. This was actually tough for me because I love Mia Hamm. She was one of my favorite just female athletes of all time. Venus Williams, I think injuries derailed her career. I know she got ill with some immune disease, which kind of impacted her playing a lot. But she was a game changer. She's the reason why Serena was able to play the way she was playing. She went through it first, guys. Lisa Leslie, all-time great in the WNBA. Simone Biles, all-time great in gymnastics. But I got to give this one to Allison Felix. She was just incredible. She may not be the best in the 100. She didn't run in 100. 200 wasn't her event, but that 400, she could outrun any girl you put in that on that track. She was probably one of the greatest female 400 track stars ever. And I think she has more gold medals than a lot of track stars, men or women, if I can recall. I know she broke that record recently. I think I'm gonna go with Allison Felix. I gotta go Allison Felix on this one.
Okay.
She's just an incredible athlete. You know, the things she had to overcome, things she's accomplished, to me was just incredible. But K-Walk, your thoughts?
Yeah, man, this is a tough one for sure. Lisa Leslie, I think she was a little bit before her time. I would have loved to see her play in today's game against these female athletes for sure, to see exactly where she would stack up. But I still think she would hold her own, but I just don't know if she would be as dominant as she was in her day. Allison Felix, I think, you mentioned she didn't run the 1, she didn't run the 2, she ran the 4. I think if she would have ran the 2, she would have been very successful, because she was so great at running the 4, and the 4 generally makes you stronger for the 2. So I think if she missed out on some medals there, if she'd have ran the 2 a little bit more.
She has a couple medals at the 2.
Yeah, I think she could have more, though. That's what I'm saying. Venus Williams, she's not even the best tennis player in her family, so I can't go with her. So with that being said, that leaves Mia Hamm and Simone Biles. I was right along with Jay. I had Simone Biles locked in. You can lock it in until I don't know if you guys watched that show, The Wall, that's produced by LeBron. I don't know if you guys watched that show, but watch that show when they say lock it in and you can't change your mind. I was about to lock it in with Simone until you mentioned Mia Hamm, so it made me think again. It's closer than I thought, but I'm going to go with Simone Biles. I think that she dominates, but Mia Hamm, nothing to take away from Mia Hamm. She was just outstanding. She's great. She was before her time. She just did it effortlessly, but I have to go with Simone Biles for sure.
And the correction, I got to make this correction because I just looked it up. Allison Felix was a specialist in the 200. Then she actually ran more races in the 200. Then she gradually went to the 400. So she got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gold medals in the 200 meters.
I stand corrected as well.
I stand corrected too, because last time we seen her, she was just running the 400. But she specialized in both. But 22 gold medals.
That's saying a lot. Wow,
that's insane. 22 gold. That's insane. Yeah, I knew she broke the record, but. That's insane. But yes, Allison Felix, Simone Biles, great athletes. Mia Hamm. How did we not say Mia Hamm? Not one of us said Mia Hamm.
She was on the cusp, but that was my finalist. She was a finalist. I don't know if that helps.
And Venus, and you know what? You got when you think about Venus, I think she has 7 major championships. But if she didn't have to play Serena in those finals, like if there was somebody else, Venus would probably have 12 or 15 majors and not 7. So Serena kept Venus from kind of elevating.
She's not even the best in her family, so I can't put her the best of all time.
Right. All right, guys. So we go ahead into break. When we come back, we will continue with more sports and more fun. Jay will take over. But you guys are watching the Sideline Speaks with myself, Brittany Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Media Network.
CampLyman.com is an opportunity for my big boys to come get some work. Let's put it all together. We built from the ground up. Our cliche is it all starts up front. Once again, start, stance, hand placement, hand separation, get-offs, counter moves, a little bit of everything. Polish up those skills before your middle school or high school season began. Just come work on your craft. Once again, CampLyman.com.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Brittany Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.
Welcome back to the Sideline Speaks. Brittany Jones, Kevin Walker, and Jason Collins. Guys, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share it with your friends. You can also check us out on Apple, Google, and Spotify for the podcast. All right, guys, I want to circle back around to the NBA just a little bit and talk about Ja Morant. Now that the finals are over, that decision is going to come down on Ja Morant probably any day now, I'm assuming. Let's kind of break this up into pieces. Okay, well, the first piece of this is just, do you think Ja should be suspended? Because I'm hearing a lot of people say he didn't break any laws. Right. Why is the NBA jumping in and trying to suspend this guy? What are your thoughts just on that part? Do you think he should be suspended?
I think he should, Jay, and I know he's come out and said, or I don't know if it was him or his, or his party said that gun wasn't real. But we don't know that.
Which
watching
is a
that
lame
video.
Excuse.
Right? Exactly. So let's just give him the benefit of the doubt, and for argument's sake, it wasn't real. You've had, your reputation precedes you, man. You've had incidents where you flashed a real gun, so we don't know if that gun is real or not. Again, there's no legal action there, and an NBA has come out and said that we're not basing his suspension, or we're not basing our decision. They didn't say suspension. Let me rephrase that. They said we're not basing our decision off of a legal matter. This is the NBA values. So what that means is that Ja Morant is out here, doing things that doesn't necessarily represent the shield, if you will, the NBA logo, that Jerry West logo. So he's not going about it the right way. So with all that being said, I'm going to say Ja Morant should be suspended, man, because fake or not, man, he should know going into this, gun real or not. It's not a good look for you, bro. It's not a good look for you. So I think he should get a year suspension, man. If not a year suspension, maybe that's a little too harsh. At least half the season, at least half, what's that, 41 games. So like 41 games, I think he should at the minimum, because like Adam Silver has come out and said that this is about the value of the NBA and what the NBA means and what we're trying to represent here. And Ja Morant's not doing a great job of that. And he could possibly, if he does everything the right way, he could be the face of the NBA. But he's going about it the wrong way. So I say half the season, 41 games. If he gets a full season, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, wow, man. I agree with you. I think he should be suspended. I don't know any grown men that just walk around with toy guns. I don't know anyone who just carries a toy gun around. So I thought that excuse was laughable, to be honest. Yeah, man, it's code of conduct, right? Even if you're not breaking the law, we all have jobs. There's certain things, even if it's not against the law, that your job might not want you to do because it might be a bad look for them. So he's got to fall in line with the NBA's code of conduct. And for whatever reason, he's not doing that. Man, K-Walk, I was thinking that maybe he'd get something like 30 games. Okay. You're at half the season, or potentially even a full season. Britt, what say you? Do you think I think we all probably agree he's going to be suspended, but what do you think the length of that suspension is going to be?
Well, first and foremost, like you guys said, we all have jobs. So I don't know why people view, and I understand they're millionaires, and I think maybe that's the confusing thing in most people's minds, is that these are millionaires, but at the same time, they are employees. They're not the business owners of these teams. So they are representing these teams, their organizations, as well as the NBA as a whole. So if you go out there looking crazy, looking like you want to be part of the mafia or something like that, the NBA is going to come harder down on you. Right? So it's just like us three, when we go to work or whatnot, if we out here waving guns on social media, and that's not a good look for where we work, or, the organization that we're a part of, it creates a negative a negative image. And they're like, no, we could find somebody else. Now, I'm not saying you're just going to find a Ja Morant. Talent-wise, you probably won't. But is it worth it? Is risk versus reward. Is it worth it? And that's the question. But to answer your question, yes. I think he deserves to be suspended. Hopefully, that's the best way he learns, because this is like the umpteenth time he done did something. We had another incident after incident after incident. I think he should at least get half a season, so which is 41 games, at least. And like K-Walk said, if he gets the full season, I would not be surprised. I mean, look, we've seen guys, especially over in the NFL, get suspended for far less for betting.
Yeah,
right.
Oh yeah, betting $1,100 got somebody suspended an entire year. People, there are players who are get suspended because they didn't learn from the last players, thinking they're not going to get caught. Get ready to get suspended due to
Plaxico
gambling.
Burress. Look at Plaxico Burress when he shot himself.
Right. He shot himself. He didn't shoot nobody else. He shot himself
right?
and got suspended. So, I mean, yeah, he's got to, unfortunately, and I love John Morant. I love his talent. That's what I mean when I love John Morant. He's got to grow up. He has to mature. He has to grow up. I understand he's only 23 years old, but hopefully this is a light bulb clicks off in his head and says, you know what, I got to change some things here before I lose it all.
Yeah, and you got to ask yourself, if you're John Morant, like, what do you want your name to mean to people? When people say the name John Morant, what does that mean to? What do you want people to think when they hear that name? I know the kids nowadays, or today's society, call it the brand. Your brand. What is your brand about? What do you want your brand to be? I always tell my kids, if they do something and it could affect their name, I'm like, think about your name. Like, you want people to know you for that, or you want to know you for something more positive? I think they had to start. He needs to start looking at that first and foremost. It starts with your name, man, and how do you want to be recognized, and how do you want to be known for?
Yeah, okay, well, that's a great point, and I do think a lot of that starts at home too, right? And we've seen John Morant's father sort of being his best friend and not necessarily being somebody in his life that's willing to sit down and have a difficult conversation with him. But you're right, man. Like, you never want to embarrass your family or embarrass your family's name, but obviously that's not a conversation that's being had in that household. But I do think you guys are right now that I think about it, because I guess Adam Silver was saying, like, they uncovered some other things, like, during their investigation. So, maybe you're right. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets half a year or even a full year if they've uncovered some things that maybe the media doesn't even know about yet. So this thing could be real ugly for John Morant. This is a hard thing to predict, K-Walk, but I'm going to ask you to do it anyway. Like, if we fast forward 5 years, let's say, is John Morant going to be somebody that we're saying, okay, this kid has reached his potential and he's back on track? Or are we going to be saying, what a waste of talent?
I'm going to go with the first one. I'm going to go with the four one, Jay, because I think he'll get it. I think he's still young, and I think the suspension will who said it? I don't know if Britt said it, where a light bulb will go eventually, click or go off. I think 5 years from now, we'll say he gets it. He learned from his mistakes, because I do believe that he will do that. I mean, he's young enough to make those mistakes. I said that, what do your name wants to be? You want to if you mess up your name now, you're still young enough to get that back, man, to get the credibility back there, man, and clean up your name. So I'm going to say, Jay, that he's going to say it's going to be, he gets it, he's gotten it, and he's on track to be successful. I believe in a young man. I just think he just has to have the right. He's got to be smart enough to get the right people around him, and I think he'll ultimately do that, man. But it's not looking good right now. But I believe in him, man. I believe he'll get it done, bro.
Britt?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with K-Walk. He's still so young. Imagine what half of us did, or all of us did, when we were 21, 22, 23 years old. Like, most living reckless lives, not thinking twice about it.
About something.
Not understanding how certain decisions you make now can impact, your future, or if you have a business, how it can impact his business. And right now, I think he's going to learn, and he has to learn quick how it's affecting his money, because he lost millions of dollars with the suspension. And I think this may potentially impact his next contract as well.
Yeah, took him out of the Supermax running. Yeah.
Right. So I think he's going to learn, and he's going to learn very, very fast. Not just that, but I'm pretty sure he lost some endorsement deals because, like K-Walk said, it's your image, it's your brand. Companies don't want to sponsor or be represented by a guy who's about waving guns and stuff online or whatnot, especially the impact that guns are having in our lives right now, especially our children's lives. People are getting killed left and right with guns, playing with guns. So he's gonna learn quick.
I hope so, guys. I hope you're right. I can't imagine. It's got to be hard in 2023 being famous and young and rich like that. That's got to be a really difficult thing to navigate, right?
What's your answer to that question, Jay?
The thing that scares me about it, K-Walk, is that we've seen guys before him not figure it out. Like we've seen guys who had all the talent in the world and throw it away and just never be able to get it figured out. And the only thing that scares me about it is like the first time it happened, he got on and he said, you know, he did the interview. I made a mistake. I'm going to get the help that I need. Yada, yada, yada. And then a month or so later, the same exact thing happened. So that's what kind of makes me nervous. But if I have to pick, I'm gonna agree with you guys. I'm gonna say that he figures it out. I certainly hope that he figures it out.
This is what I think. Because we've seen, like you said, athletes in the past, you know, we've seen athletes that got a second chance, and we see athletes that just blew up in their face. Prime example, Allen Iverson. I think the biggest impact, he had his second chance due to the right mentors in his life, is going to be the changes that maybe his dad makes as well. Because clearly he looks up to his father, which I love it. I love the fact that his dad is in his life. It's fantastic, but clearly he's following behind you. So if you're okay in this, he thinks it's okay. But I think if his dad sits him down, he seems like a smart guy, and really talks to him, then I think Ja Morant will change. Or maybe if he could grab hold of, you know, a positive mentor in his life, I think he'll get that second chance.
Somebody may need to sit down Ja Morant Sr. too, or Mr. Morant.
That too.
They just sit him down as well. They all like that conversation together.
That too.
Yeah, I agree. And I think K-Walk, you said getting the right people around him. And then I think the other part of that is getting the wrong people away from him. Because obviously this guy still has people hanging around that he needs to let go of. He's got to
let me ask this question just real quick, Jay. Just real quick, yes or no. What do you think about like guys like LeBron and those guys, you know, possibly stepping in the leaders? Chris Paul, who's the leader of the NBA Players Association, stepping in, pulling this guy aside. Do you think they will do that? Do you think they have or they will do that?
I think those are the kind of guys that would be willing to. I think that the question is a guy like Ja Morant willing to listen? You know, it's got to be hard, man, when you're young and you got all the money in the world and you got everything at your fingertips. You think you know everything. You probably just don't want to listen to anybody, you know? Right. And I think it takes some maturing to kind of get to that level. So I think LeBron, Chris Paul, those guys could be great mentors for him. But the question really is he willing to listen? So and that's the thing I'm not sure of.
Gotcha.
All right, y'all. Let's switch gears a little bit here. I want to go back to the finals just for a minute. Ask about a couple players. I think this question is pretty straightforward. So just to get your quick thoughts on it. Mm-hmm. Everyone's been heaping all kind of praise on the Joker, Britt, and rightfully so. He was fantastic in the finals. Mm-hmm. But is he the best player in basketball? That's the $1 million question that everybody wants to know. Right now, is this guy the best player in basketball?
You should have saved her for last, Jay.
Why?
You know where you go.
I know he's definitely a difference maker for sure. That playmaking ability is one above all. I don't know if he's the best player in basketball, because I feel like we get too excited, and this happened time and time again. Every time somebody comes along with a different sort of skill set, you know, win a championship, everybody in the world gets excited. He's such a great basketball player. We did it with Giannis. We did it with a couple other players as well. I don't know if I'd say he's the best player in basketball, because, like I said, I look at both sides of the court, right? I think offensively, he's the best. Just not just from a scoring standpoint, because I don't even think he's the best scorer, right? I just think his playmaking abilities are the best, whether he's scoring or he's setting somebody else up to score. I think he's the best player as far as elevating other people's games or helping to elevate other people's games as well. But I have to give credit to the GM and the coach for that as well. I think he's the smartest player in basketball. I think he's the best player when it comes to making the least mistakes. Like, he does not make mistakes. You look for him to make a mistake. He does not make. He plays, his basketball IQ is so high, it makes no sense. But do I think he's the best basketball player? No. He's definitely in my top 5, though. It took me a long time to put him up there. But no, I don't think he's the best player, because I look at both sides of the court. But for what the heck that guy does, what he does is the best. Sure.
Britt, let me ask you this just real quick. If you were making a list, give me someone you would have ahead of him. Who's ahead of him?
I'm trying to remember.
And I know this is rough because I didn't even tell y'all I was going to go this route, right. But I just kind of thought of it. Is there someone? Is Giannis ahead of him? Is KD? Is Steph? Is Embiid? Is Tatum? Like, if you were writing down a list, would you put any of those guys before Joker?
I'm trying to put it all together. That's why I'm sitting here thinking.
Think on that for a minute, Britt. I'm gonna
think on that one.
K-Walk, is he the best player in basketball?
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And I know Britt want to say both ends of the court. I don't think the brother really needs to play defense because he plays so well. I think he's long enough where he can affect shots. No, he doesn't block a ton of shots. But what he does, he has quick hands. If you saw in the series, he does a lot of ball swiping when guys coming into the lane and they have the ball down low. He has quick hands and he knocks the ball out of the ball handler's hands a lot. No, he doesn't. He doesn't block a lot of shots because a lot of people don't challenge him. They really don't challenge him not because he can jump, 1,000 feet high, but just because he's his presence. He's long as he is, and you just think he's just an immediate shot blocker. So I'm going to say, yeah, man, I just never seen anything like that. As unorthodox as he is, man, I don't care what he throws up. It can bounce off the rim 9 times and it'll find a way to go in, man. It's just so frustrating. And like Brett mentioned, he's such a basketball. He has such a high basketball IQ. Everything that he does, I mean, from rebounding to to assist, to scoring. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Joker just boxed another triple-double, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, you know what, man? He's just phenomenal, man. He walks off the bus, man, and he has a triple-double. But I think he gets away with a lot, but I think he's earned that at the same time. But yeah, Jay, I don't have anyone in front of him, so I don't need a list. I don't need to think about it. He's the best in the game right now, and I could be I could be affected by the prisoner of the moment. But what I've seen him do in this series, and I mean now in the playoff run that he had, because I got a lot of chance to watch him because all of his game, all the playoff games been televised, but I've been more dialed into the game, the series against the Heat. And I gotta say, man, this guy, man, he's something special, man. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be that way for a long time.
Yeah, man, to your point, because like I said, I didn't watch a ton of him this year. He's a little better defender than I thought, because you just hear people say, oh, he can't defend. He's a serviceable defender. Like he said, he's not going to lock anybody down, but he's smart enough and decent enough to stay in front of people and contest shots. You're not gonna mistake him for a great defender, but I feel like he's serviceable. And then obviously what he brings to the offensive end. I mean, first player ever in the history of the NBA to go throughout the playoffs and lead in scoring, rebounds, and assists. I mean, that's
Did he have a dunk? Did he have a dunk?
I didn't see him dunk. I mean, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I think right now, and I hope I'm not being a prisoner of the moment, but when I think about that list and those names I named, I don't know that I would feel comfortable saying this guy's definitely better than him, right? So I don't think I have anybody ahead of him. Britt, let me just circle back to you real quick. What do you think?
I mean, look, Joker is great. Like he really is great. Like I said, he's top 5 and I'm gonna keep it that way. That's just how I just feel like so many people are becoming the prisoner more. I need to see consistency. So if you want to be number 1 for me, I need to see it again next year and maybe for a couple years before I put you ahead of the likes of even LeBron to this point. He's 40 years old, so I'm still not sure if I'm ready to put him above him.
What more does he have to do? He's a two-time
or whatnot. This is my thoughts. I respected your thoughts, so this is my thoughts.
Okay,
right?
go ahead.
So I just need to see consistency with it. Yes, he did it this year, and I love it. I respect it, but we've been the prisoner of the moment prior, especially when it came to Giannis. Giannis was the greatest player in basketball. And that was just last year, if I can recall, or earlier this season when he was the greatest player in basketball. But now everybody just took that away because they see the greatness in Nikola Jokic. So I just need to see it more than one season. That's all I'm going to say.
But Brett, you said more than one season. What more does he have to do? Because he won prior to this year. He won back-to-back MVPs. This year he didn't win.
I understand that.
He won an MVP,
but then
did
we do that? Didn't we do that with Giannis? That was the same thing with Giannis. Same exact thing with Giannis. Didn't we do that with Giannis?
Okay. Yeah, we probably did.
Y'all said he was the greatest player, Giannis.
I was never really on Giannis like that. I do think the media
said on this show he was the greatest player. So I will not be the prisoner.
I don't know that I ever
said
because I don't really love Giannis's game.
But
I know there's a lot of media.
I didn't think he was the greatest. So let me.
I know there's a lot of media people that said Giannis was the best player for sure.
Now, do I think Nikola Jokic has the game to be the greatest? Absolutely. I will never discredit his game. His game is amazing. But let me see another couple more years. That's all I'm asking.
So what does he have to do? Win championships?
Is that a lot?
No. But I'm saying, what exactly does he have to do? What does he have to do, though?
That's all.
What more does he have to do?
Let's see the consistency. That's all I want to say.
All right, I don't know what more consistency you need other than back-to-back
MVPs.
Second, he should have won it. He should have won it this year.
Because last year,
he should have won it this year.
Last year, when he won MVP last year. Nobody said Jokic was the greatest player. They kept saying everybody else was the greatest player. So he won it this year, and I'm so happy for him. He's well deserved. But let me see it again.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I think I just don't have anyone that I put ahead of him right now. So I think I'm with you.
Offensively, with all the things that he can do. Yeah, it's hard to put anyone ahead of him. Or offensively because of his playmaking abilities, his scoring, and so forth. But let me see more of
phenomenal.
It. I want to see another year of it.
All right, okay. Well, let me go to Miami and let me ask you this question, man. Jimmy Butler, can you win a championship if Jimmy Butler is your best player, or does he need to be a number two? Give me your thoughts on that.
I don't think he needs to be a number two, Jay. I think he needs help, man. I think he needs another scorer, a bona fide scorer. And when I talk about a scorer, I mean someone who can create their own shot, someone who can get to the basket, someone who can get open, create separation. We saw Kyle Lowry do a little bit of that last night, but Kyle Lowry is 37 years old, man. He can only do that. He can only sustain that for so long. Jimmy Butler is the type of guy that we mentioned earlier that, it was just too much weight on his shoulders, and you have to get him, you have to get him some help there, man, and a scorer, someone who can create their shot off the dribble, get to the foul line, get to the foul line, and ones, that type of deal. That way there wouldn't be so much focus on Jimmy, especially down the stretch, because, as good as Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson were up until, the series, they can't create their shots. They rely on Jimmy Butler, to get into the lane or anyone else and kick out and things of that nature. Max Strus did a good job. He tried to do a good job of creating those shots, but it just wasn't. It's not in his game to do that. Neither was Duncan Robinson and Gabe Vincent. They played out of their character. But no, to answer the question, Jay, I say all that to say no. Jimmy needs another scorer for sure.
I know this is hard to predict, man, but if healthy Tyler Hero, does he make a difference in the series?
I don't think so, Jay, to be honest with you. I mean, because we got that far. I mean, you have to see what he would have done in the previous series, and we didn't see him at all. So I'm thinking Tyler Hero. I don't know, Jay. I don't think so, to be honest with you. And I think that's why we didn't see him play, even though he was available. That's why we didn't see him play last night. So I don't think so. And I kept saying, "Oh, just sit him out." I'm not saying we didn't need him. He definitely would have helped, but I don't think it would have made a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Britt, what are your thoughts on Butler? Do you think you can win one if he's the best guy on the team?
That's actually a tough question. I don't know, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
it's tough.
It's
tough.
I don't know. If he plays how he did in this particular series, I will probably say no. But size was a major issue also in this particular series, in my opinion. They were small, a lot smaller than the Nuggets.
Yeah.
I think they need another scorer on this team. A more consistent scorer, a more effective scorer. And Gabe Benson played very well also. Caleb Martin was out of his mind at times. Also, but I just think they need one more player. Now, I don't know if that player needs to be a number one player for Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler plays the 2. I'm not sure. I don't know if they need to go get an actual center for this team, because I like Bam Adebayo, but he's not a center. He's more of that 4 position, because he's small a lot of times in there. And you could see it when he was playing against Jokic. He was just a little too small. This one is tough. I'm just imagining if a young Chris Paul was on the scene, not Chris Paul now, but a young Chris Paul on the scene, what impact would that have with a Jimmy Butler? That actually might be a great fit, with a young Chris Paul, not a Chris Paul now. He's too injury prone.
Yeah.
Well, he was injury prone back then too, but you know what I mean, the speed and all that. I'm gonna say yes, he needs another star. I just don't know if that star needs to be better than him.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. And to K-Walk's point, I do think you're right. Like, he needs somebody else that can create their own shot. Like, it's hard when you just got a team full of like catch and shoot guys or guys that need you to create something for them. Right. And you don't have somebody else that can do it. And like you said, Lowry tried, and he did. I mean, he played big in moments, but is he at a point in his career where he can really do that consistently all the time? I don't know. So, yeah, it's interesting for sure. Man,
Two names for you, Jay. Two names for you real quick. Damon Lillard and Brook Lopez. Just give me those two.
Yeah, and I've been hearing a lot that Dame may end up in Miami, and that would be a nice little combo, because now you got a guy that can get it on his own. Right. That's
well, Tyler Hero is definitely in the mix, and keep in mind that
that's not enough.
But hold on, I'm not done yet. And they do have a lot of draft commodities. Well, they picked number, I think, 18th this year's draft, and they have other draft commodities as well. So draft picks are in the definitely available to them to go get like a Dame Lillard for sure.
Yeah, I think this is the year Dame is finally going to maybe get out of Portland. I know he's been trying to stick it out and be a company man and do it that way. I think he's starting to realize, you know what, if I'm going to have a real shot at winning, I need to go elsewhere. So that's going to be fun to watch. Okay, well, let's get into your one ticket, man. We're getting close to the end of this thing. So let's get into K-Walk's one ticket, where you present us with a couple different scenarios, and we got to decide which way we're going to go. K-Walk's one ticket.
All right. I think I got a good one for you this week, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Britt, I'll start with you on this one. We got the 2012-2013 Miami Heat, consists of LeBron, D. Wade, Bosh, versus the 1999-2000 Lakers, features Shaq, Kobe, and I think the third guy on there was Glenn Rice. Number 2, we got the 2018 Warriors with Clay, Steph, and KD versus the 96 Bulls. I think you all know that one. And this is the NBA Finals, ladies and gentlemen. These are the NBA Finals.
Is that the Rodman Bulls, or is that 96, the hardest? Okay.
No, MJ, Pip, and Rodman. Yeah.
Okay.
3, you got, and this is the Super Bowl. 3, you got the 94 San Francisco 49ers versus the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. And then you got the the fourth one is this is college football here. 2019 LSU Tigers, at the helm was Joe Burrow, versus the 2008 Florida Gators with Tim Tebow for the national championship. Got one ticket for events. We're using that ticket for.
Okay, wait, because I don't have a pen right now. What was that first one?
The first one was
What was
the 2012-2013 Miami Heat. That's with LeBron, D Wade, and Bosh versus the 99-2000 team Lakers with Shaq, Kobe, and I think Glenn, again, like I said, Glenn Rice was the third guy in it, the big three, if you will.
Okay, and what was the second one? One more time. I'm sorry. I know it was Golden State.
Yeah, 2018 Warriors versus the 1996 Chicago Bulls.
Gosh, I wish those two were mixed. Or switched. If it was LeBron versus MJ, definitely for sure going there. Oh, let's see. I don't know. I'm not trying to take too much time up trying to figure this out. But you said the Heat versus the Lakers. Which that would be a crazy matchup. LeBron versus Kobe. I feel like I kind of seen that a little bit, though. I don't know why in my head. I kind of seen that. I think I would want to go to that Golden State versus the Bulls. With Steph Curry shooting, but Michael Jordan is a studier of all studiers, and he will study your movements to the twitches of your eyeballs. It does not matter. He will learn you left and right, and I would love to see how he will play against that screen setup between Draymond and Steph Curry with Klay Thompson shooting, and that defense going up against this high power offense in Golden State. But shoot, it's Michael Jordan, so he got a high power offense. I don't know. I just feel like the Bulls will beat that for some reason. I don't know why I feel like I know the result of that game, but I think I want to go just to see for the fun of it. I feel like I know the Bulls will win, but I want to go for the fun of it. I think that's why. So I'm gonna pick that one.
Okay. Jay, what say you?
These are good tickets, man. These are all really good tickets. But I think the one I want to see for sure, Britt, I'm going with you here. I want to see the Warriors and the Bulls, man. I really do, because that 2018 Warriors team, they swear that they're like the best team ever, and they think they could beat MJ's Bulls. So I would love to be in the house to actually watch that go down.
Wait. I'm sorry. KD was on that team.
Yeah. That's KD.
Oh, I forgot about KD. Oh, yeah, I definitely want to go that one. Okay, that might be okay.
So I'm gonna take that one, man. I'm gonna take that one for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick that one too. I'm gonna make an answer for everything you said, but I think I would want to see that ticket just with Draymond and Dennis Rodman going at it. Draymond Green and Dennis Rodman going at it. That would be a pay-per-view event that you probably.
Which era?
That's a great question. I was thinking about that, man. If it was in the 90s, I'll give it to the Bulls easily, because they would play too physical back then. So I'll give it this era.
Okay, so that means Jordan's dropping 100 easily. Okay.
Right, exactly.
All right.
All right, that concludes my one ticket. Great stuff, guys. Turn it back over to you, Jay.
That was good. That's a good one. Anytime Mike is on the one ticket, man, it's tough. He's a hard guy to go against. But I
try to keep him off, but it's hard for me to keep Mike off, man.
Yeah, it's hard to keep him off. That'd be a good matchup, though. That'd definitely be one I'd want to see. All right, let's get into our rant, guys. Every week we want to do a little rant here. It could be something positive, something negative. You get 1 minute on the clock. I need to do better with this timer too, because I don't think we've really been sticking to that 1 minute rule. So I'm going to really watch the clock here tonight. I think I'm going to start tonight, guys, because my rant is more of advice. So I'm going to start my clock now. Zion Williamson. I'm not even going to get into all the drama that's happening in this man's personal life. I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm just going to say, Zion, you're young. You got the world in the palm of your hands. Make better decisions. Don't throw it all away. Remember what got you in the position you're in. It was from actually being good at basketball. I think, Zion, you need to refocus. Get your mind back on basketball, get yourself back in shape, and come back next year ready to be a good basketball player. Because if you're not good on the court, all the things that are happening for you off the court are going to go away. So Zion, get your head screwed on right and get yourself in the gym, get yourself in shape, and focus on basketball, and don't get caught up in all the other stuff that's going on off the court. So that's my advice for Zion Williamson.
What stuff was that, Jay? what stuff was that? No, just our viewers can know. What exactly did he do?
Look, I'm not even hating on the man because I know it's got to be hard. So I'm not even coming down on him. I just, Britt, he's out. He's young and he's rich. I mean, and he's an NBA player, so he's got all the choices, right in front of him. So Zion, come on, man, we're rooting for you. All right. Okay, well, how about you go last, man? Because I think you got something fiery for us tonight.
Not really.
Britt, what you got?
I don't really have nothing today, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I might have to go. I don't have nothing.
That's okay.
It's tough. It's coming to the wire here.
Yeah. I didn't have one last week, so I totally understand that. Okay, Walt, what you got for us, man?
Yeah, it's not so much a rant, just I guess it's more of a praise, if you will, to my Miami Heat. What they accomplished this year through sheer grit, determination, hard work, and great coaching. I know we talked about this earlier, but try to keep it to a minimum. But we talked about it. They may have killed that concept that you don't need a superstar laden team in order to win a championship, but you do need at least two, though. We talked about that. Yeah. We do need at least two, and I think they were lacking that. So hopefully, that can come to fruition. They can, correct that because they've been in the NBA Finals the last 2 out of the 4 years. They were a shot away from being in the NBA Finals last year. So they're doing all the right things. I think this is have to add one more piece to get over that hump. And another shot out to the superstars, man. You know what? Talent is great to have, but I tell you what, looking at this Miami Heat, hard work beats talent. When talent doesn't work, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you that right now. So you go with the hard work over the talent every time because talent doesn't work hard.
What did Allen Iverson say? Allen Iverson once said he'll take anybody with enough heart and passion versus anybody that's talented. So, and that's what the Miami Heat showed.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think when you look at that team, like at the end of the year, some teams you can look at them and say, man, this team underachieved. Like the Heat, you can honestly say they got everything out of that team. You know what I mean? Like every ounce that was in that team, they exceeded expectations. So they definitely don't have any reason to hang their heads. That's for sure. Good stuff.
They still along with my Eagles and stuff. They still first place losers, but I love them, so it's okay.
Oh man!
I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just playing.
K-Walk, I didn't realize, man, that you're right. Like they were in 2 of the last 4 finals because they were in the bubble final and then this one, and then last year they were a 3-pointer away. So, like when you really think about that, they've been knocking on the door for the last 3-4 years. So. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they can kind of kick that door down for sure.
Oh, Jay, real quick. I'm sorry. Before you go to the next thing, did anybody notice the Nuggets threw in a little bit of a triangle offense on some of those plays? Did y'all notice that? I was looking at some of those plays they were doing. I was like, they brought back the triangle offense a little bit.
I didn't catch it, but
if you could watch it again.
Yeah,
it was, and it's hard to see because it was only like a couple plays. It was a little bit of triangle offense.
Okay, well, what'd you think about the zone that Miami stayed in? I felt like last night maybe they hung in there a little too long with it. Like they were letting Joker catch the ball like sort of in the high post, and he was just doing whatever he wanted once he got it there. I know it was effective earlier in the series, but what'd you think about it particularly last night?
Yeah, man, I think they stayed to a couple possessions too long, Jay, and I think I don't know if it was Jeff Van Gundy or Mark Jackson that pointed it out. That now they went back to me. I think it was Mark Jackson. Now that I recall it, but yeah, I think they stayed in one possession or a couple possessions too long because they realized that Joker was getting into the middle of that zone and just turning around and just putting up whatever he wanted to put up, and it was going in. I think they were hoping that because he was taking all of his shots right there in the middle of the in the middle of the free throw line, and I think that they were just hoping some of them would not go in. That's all they were. That's all they could do because they weren't blocking it. But yeah, they ultimately went to man. I think they just again 3 possessions too late.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go to who's balling. Britt, who you got for us this week? Who's been balling for you?
Look, I have to give credit to where credit is due. I just did the whole Denver Nuggets team. They dominated not just in the finals, but throughout the entire series. I have to give where credit is credit and due. Led by Jokic, followed up by Jamal Murray. It wasn't too many games where Jokic struggled, but maybe 1 or 2 games, Jamal Murray picked them up until Jokic was able to get his scoring back in order. And like I said earlier, they work so daggone well together. It makes no sense. Now, I don't know if I want to go as far as, they're better than Kobe and Shaq or whoever else out there. I'm not sure about that just yet. I don't want to jump the gun. But they're ranked up there. They're ranked high. So
yeah,
they were balling. There we go. Balling.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm kind of right there with you, Britt, but just to be a little different, I'll give some credit to Coach Malone. I thought just the way that he handled himself throughout the series, through the wins, through the loss, just the way that he kept talking about his team, wouldn't let them take their foot off the gas. Even some of the mic'd up situations and sideline stuff that we had access to, I thought Coach Malone was spot on the entire series. So I definitely want to give him his due. Coach Malone was balling. K-Walk, who you got?
Yeah, I didn't hear any of that mic'd up stuff. I turned the mute on. I turned the mute button on. I didn't want to hear any of that. I was tight, man. But yeah, good stuff there for sure. I'm gonna go tennis here, man. I've been down into some tennis, and I'm gonna go with the 36-year-old Novak Djokovic, who beat Casper Ruud in straight sets 7-6, 6-3, 7-5. At the French Open to record his record-breaking 23rd Grand Slam title. He broke Rafael Nadal's record for sure, and he's 36 years old, ladies and gentlemen, and just unbelievable what he's doing right now. Again, number one, I don't know if he's going to continue to go, but he looks like he can go for a couple more years. So right now, Novak Djokovic has been balling.
Okay, well, I'm so glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you because his nickname is the Joker as well.
Yes,
so I was going to say, who's the real Joker? Is it the tennis player or is it the Denver Nuggets Joker? Like if only one of them could be the Joker, which one you giving it to?
I'm gonna give it to Nikola because of the fact of the matter is 23 Grand Slams. That means you no joke, man. You ain't no joke, man. So in my Eric B and Rakim voice, he ain't no joke. So yeah, but no, if you got to give him the Rick name, you have obviously got to give it to Novak because 23 Grand Slam championship titles. That's saying a lot, man. So yeah, he's the real Joker in my opinion.
23 Grand Slams is a lot. That ties Serena on the women's side.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Britt, who's the real Joker? Novak or Nikola?
I mean, I don't know. Like,
it's tough.
I mean, I guess I gotta go with what K-Walk said. You said 23 Grand Slams. I don't watch too much males. I don't watch a whole lot of male tennis, but that is kind of crazy. That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's unheard of. So right now he's the real Joker. I'm gonna keep my sting. Let me get a couple more championships from Nikola Jokic, and then I could call him the real Joker. But until then, I gotta go with the tennis guys. I got a fun question real quick.
Go ahead.
It has nothing to do with sports. Maybe this is, I don't know, Jay. I'm pretty sure you know him. Is Rakim in your top 5 of all rappers of all time? In your top 5 rappers?
Rakim is definitely in my top 5. I love Rakim. I used to be rapping the Paid in Full and I Ain't No Joke, all that stuff. So yeah, Rakim is for sure in my top 5. For sure in my top 5. K-Walk, he's in your top 5 too, right?
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. He's in my top 5, man. That's
who's your number 1?
Me?
Okay, go ahead.
You know this. Go. You already know, Jay. Let him know. Let him know.
Ladies love Cool J. That's K-Walk's.
That's
the GOAT. The GOAT. You know what? It's funny, K-Walk, because I heard you and E talking about probably like 2 years ago. It came up on the show before, and I was like, LL. But then I started listening to a little bit of LL. I was like, you know what? LL's been underrated for me. He's right up there. He's right up there for sure. He's up there for sure.
Rakim is definitely in my top 5. You know who else is underrated? God bless his soul, but DMX. I always thought he was an underrated guy.
Yeah,
it's very rare. I don't think any other rap artist has 6 #1 albums. 6, and people forget it.
Yeah,
I know we gotta close the show.
No, you're right. No, I need to listen to some DMX because I was never really like a big DMX fan. A couple of his songs, but like I never really got into him like that. So maybe that'll give me something to listen to for sure. That's good stuff though, Britt. All right, y'all, let's wrap this show up. Britt, basketball season's over. What are you looking forward to now? And let the people know where they can find you on social media.
Well, we could find me is probably soon going to be in an asylum house because people want to think I'm insane because I didn't say Jokic was the greatest player ever right now. So I know I'm going to hear it left and right for right now, but I'm sticking to what I say. But no, really.
I know where you were going with that.
You can find me on TikTok, Twitter, as well as Instagram at Brittany Monique is on the bottom of my screen. And what I'm looking forward to, I don't know, guys. Like, football's not started yet. Basketball ended. We got less than 100 days for football, though. I guess track and field, I'm looking forward to. Oh, WNBA is still here. If I could catch the games on TV. Come on, WNBA and NBA. I'm coming at the NBA. WNBA is underneath the NBA. And I guess just my summer cookouts and block parties. Yes, let's go.
Okay, that sounds good, Britt. I'm with you. It's a tricky time right now. I'll be watching like some women's golf. The USFL playoffs is starting this weekend. I'm gonna try to see if I can get some of that a little bit, and then I have been watching quite a bit of WNBA, so I'll keep doing that as well. But you guys can find me at Jason Talks Sports on all social media platforms. K-Walk, what you got?
Yeah, I'm right along with you guys, man. As far as WNBA, I've been dialing to that a little bit. Tennis, I've been dialing to that a lot more. Baseball right now, Yankees and Mets in the Subway Series. It's tied 6-6 right now, so it's a great one going on there. Looking forward to Father's Day. So all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day this weekend for sure. My family always gets me something. I never know what it is, but it's always something that I can use. Believe you me.
That's good.
Something I can use, man. I never thought about getting it. Whatever they give me, I never think about it. I'm like, oh, I really can use this. So they pay attention. So shout out to them. But as far as no. Sometimes I can just use socks, bro. I'll be honest with you. But you can catch me on tomorrow night on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. Myself, K-Walk and E. Scott on Sports Talk with K-Walk and E. Scott on Never Had It So Good Sports Radio, 7 p.m. The link will be on my social media pages, which is at Kevin Walker 142, Twitter and Instagram, Kevin.Walker142.
Good stuff, K-Walk. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a great show. So if you get a chance, check it out. Sports Talk with K-Walk and E. Scott. They do some really good stuff on there. All right, guys. Good stuff tonight. That was a lot of fun. We'll be back next Tuesday to talk more sports. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and also Spotify. And for Brittany Jones and Kevin Walker, I'm Jason Collins. We will see you back here next week.
Absolutely. Happy Father's Day to all.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Brittany Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.